One of the things I keep in the back of my mind is a saying by Jack Cornfield that said, "Tend to the part of the garden you can reach." And this was the first time that I saw with clarity the part of the garden I could reach, contributing to a service that benefits my community and that impacts people's lives immensely. So I thought of this idea of 60 for 60, running or walking 60 kilometers in honor of the 60 men that we lose to suicide every hour around the world. And I thought I could turn this into a fundraiser. This project was very important, not just to raise funds, but also to raise awareness in our community of how important it is to support people who are struggling with mental health. I think that that is key. I think that the less barriers there are to get support, the more likely people are to reach out and ask for help. Every minute around the world, we lose one man to suicide. And it isn't because men are more prone to mental illness, it's because men tend to have a message that it's not okay to reach out for help. Men are kind of dumb. We have been told for so long to man up, not to cry, not to reach out for help, that message has really sunk in. And when you have any kind of barrier to getting help, men are more likely to not reach out for that help. So I think it's important to acknowledge that we're vulnerable and acknowledge when we need help. It saves lives. When my father was going through a mental health crisis, it was very difficult to get service in Creston. It meant a lot of trips to Trail, to Cranbrook, and it was very hard on the family. One of the keys to this project was not just raising funds for the program, but also raising awareness. I chose to share the story of losing my own father to suicide after I saw how many donations were coming in memory of someone. These were donations from the survivors, the people that were left behind, who were opening their hearts, opening their wallets to contribute to the cause. And I thought that it was important to share my story to let those people know they weren't alone and to let them know that we were doing everything we could to make support available to people. This project came together very quickly, 2 weeks in total, about a week from the time I launched it. I wasn't sure if I was gonna find success, but the community really stepped up. So at 7 a.m. At the park, I was met with by some friends who helped me set up the tent and get the fire going. A good friend came up and ran the first laps with me in the dark. And after that, there was just a stream of people who showed up to walk, to run, to drop off snacks. It was beautiful. Here we go.
Okay. I'm just gonna fall in here.
A friend who is an avid runner showed up, so my first laps were pretty quick, and I was on track to finish a lot quicker than I expected. But part of it was I really wanted to be there all day so that people could show up and walk with me, share their stories, they could run with me, I could chat with them around the fire. So I ended up spending 11 and a half hours on my feet and clocking in about 73,000 steps for the day. It was a challenge, but it was a beautiful challenge. As the day wore on, as I got more fatigued, people cheered me on as I walked past the fire, and people always volunteered to either walk or run with me. The community support was just overwhelming. I had a big lump in my throat most of the day. I grew up tree planting, and I think one thing that job taught me was how to suffer. And even though there was some physical discomfort, I was very buoyed by the people who joined me. Definitely getting on in the evening when it got dark again, I was kind of ready for it to be over. But when we got to the last lap, everyone that was still there around the fire joined me. And that was beautiful. I was so moved by people's support. I could have run a bit harder. I could have finished the laps sooner and been done earlier in the day, but I don't think that was the point. I think the point was being there all day so that people could show up, they could share their stories, they could walk with me if they wanted, they could stand by the fire and talk. That was the point. The last hour got pretty tough. My legs were sore, my gloves were getting a bit wet and cold, it was getting dark again. I had to pull out my headlamp, but people were still there for me. People were keeping the fire going. People were walking with me. And even though it was tough, it was incredible. It was overwhelming, the support. Some people had been there most of the day, on and off. My partner had been there all day, and it was just incredible. When I came around for the last time and I knew I was on my last lap, I asked the people standing by the fire if they'd join me for the last lap around the wetlands, and everyone stood up and walked with me.
150 meters.
150 meters more.
And then we're done.
But who's counting?
I was starting to count about 10 kilometers ago. Yeah, it was a beautiful day.
So, there we go.
You gotta take a couple more steps.
A few more steps.
Okay, go.
Okay.
The last few steps.
Thank you so much for coming out, everybody.
That's amazing, Trevor.
Yeah, no kidding.
All day.
Cool. Good job, Trevor.
That was when it really hit home what this community can accomplish when we show up for each other.